Hey, welcome back to the channel Bookworms and Constant Readers. Today we are going back to Ian Fleming's James Bond. It's been a while since I read the first book, Casino Royale. I will put a link up here to that video if you'd like to watch it. This is an ongoing series on the channel. This is book 2 of the James Bond books. And as I mentioned in the previous video, we're going through all of the James Bond stuff. So not just the Ian Fleming books. Today, it's all about Live and Let Die. And like we do with every book, we'll start with the cover. I love book covers. I've said over and over now, if you're a long-time listener, you know, if you're new to the channel, I totally buy books because they have an interesting cover. I've bought some not so good books, and I bought some really great books just based on the cover. Another thing that I always look for in a book is a title. If it has an interesting title or a catchy title, I'll pick it up as well. So on this cover, these are all, I've never seen James Bond books available in any of my local bookstores. And it's not just the Ian Fleming books, it's any of them. I've never seen them available. The only way I get these is to order them off of Amazon. And that's where this came from. I checked earlier today and they're still readily available. They all have this black and white theme going on. They look really good on a shelf. All the spines, they match. They have the 007 up here. The author, name of the book. They're usually quite fitting. Like this one, it looks like waves on an ocean. It's quite fitting for the story. This takes Bond to New York City, Harlem. He goes to Florida, the Florida Keys, and then he also goes to Jamaica. Before I get started on the review of this book, one thing that I think really needs to be talked about is how dated this book is when you read it. And it was cringeworthy at times reading it. They constantly refer to black people as Negroes and negresses. It's really like disrespectful the way Fleming writes the dialogue for the black people in this book. But you also have to think this was originally published in, I believe, 1953 or 54. I think it was 54. Let me look real quick here to make sure. Yeah, inside it says it was originally published in 1954. So if you can get past that and realize that almost 70 years ago now when this book was written, that was normal. This is a time before civil rights. So there was nothing wrong with it back then. But reading it today, this book really shows its age. And it's not like reading a book like Gone with the Wind or like a historical setting book that took place in a time and place that where you kind of expect this when you read it. I wasn't expecting it. It really, like, it took some getting used to reading the book, and I had to keep telling myself that, this was written so long ago that it was acceptable. And once you get past that, you can enjoy the story. So what's the story about? So this takes place right after the events of Casino Royale. And there have been a surgence of gold coins that have hit the market, and they believe that this black gangster named Mr. Big is behind it all, and that he's smuggling them out of Jamaica into the United States to flood the market. And Bond has to work with the CIA and the FBI and try and stop him, try and bring him down. Mr. Big, he uses the voodoo religion to scare Haitians and other people to work for him and not go against him. And then also he has this woman by his side named Solitaire, who is like a fortune teller. She can see the future. She uses tarot cards and tells him, what's going to happen. And through all this and this vast network of criminals and people that work for him, people that he's paid off and bribed, he's always one step ahead of law enforcement. It's a really short book. It's like 230 pages. It's not very long at all. Even with all my schoolwork and stuff, I got it done in like 4 days. It's not as good as Casino Royale. I thought Casino Royale was really good. This one, it's just kind of, it's okay. There's parts of this that are really boring, and then there's parts that are really good. And it takes a good like 50 or 60 pages before the story like actually gets going, which is quite a long time when you're talking about a book that's 230 pages long. It's not the best Bond book I've read, and granted, I've only read 2 of them. It was just okay, especially compared to Casino Royale. One thing I do like to talk about with these books is the movie. This was the second novel written, but this is the, I believe, 8th movie that they made. And this was the first movie with Roger Moore as James Bond. They totally like deviate from this story. Some of the characters that work for Mr. Big, they have the same names, but like there's no guy with a claw for a hand. It's the story takes a totally different route than the movie does. There's also characters in the movie that are not in the book, like Rosie. She is not in the book, but she's in the movie. Some people think he's funny. Some people think he's annoying. I thought he was quite amusing. The sheriff from Louisiana, Sheriff Pepper, he's not in the book. And there's a lot of stuff that they changed for the movie. Also, another interesting thing is there's a couple of scenes in the book that were not in the Live and Let Die movie. They were in other James Bond movies. So Felix gets like fed to a shark. That doesn't happen. Felix Leiter. That doesn't happen in the movie Live and Let Die. That doesn't happen in the movies until way later when Timothy Dalton plays James Bond in A License to Kill. Another kind of like iconic scene that happens in this book that wasn't in the Live and Let Die movie, again, it was used in another Bond movie. It was another Roger Moore movie where him and the girl are tied together and drugged by a boat. I believe that was I want to say A View to a Kill, but that is not right. It's I can't think of it, but it happens in another Bond movie. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they did that. But there's a lot of differences between the movie and the book. Overall, I gave it a 3 out of 5. And I did that for a few reasons, because as short as the book is, I figured it would be faster paced. And there are a lot of parts in this book where it's just boring. There's not a lot going on. He's taking forever to get the story set up and moving along. And I didn't enjoy this as much as I enjoyed Casino Royale. I gave it a 3 out of 5. If you're a huge James Bond fan and you want to read the books, check it out. If you don't care to read the books, you just enjoy the films, skip it. It's not something that I would recommend to anyone who isn't a James Bond fan. With that being said, that's all I got for you on this one. The next book on the channel, it's going to be a couple weeks to get through it. I remembered to bring it in here. I'm finally getting to Brian Lee Durfee's The Forgetting Moon. This is book 1 in the 5 Warrior Angels trilogy. The next book comes out, I believe, early next year. And this is no short book. It's like 700 pages. I mean, it's pretty thick. It's a hefty book, so it's going to take me a while to get through that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Ring the bell so you know when new videos are posted. Comment below. Have you read the James Bond books? What did you think of them? Are you a James Bond fan? What's your favorite James Bond book or James Bond movie? Who's your favorite James Bond? For me, my favorite, I think, by people I know and talk to, you either love the guy or you hate the guy. My favorite is the latest James Bond. Before that, it was Pierce Brosnan. But yeah, I don't see how they are going to get a replacement that that measures up to Daniel Craig. That's all I got. Until next time, read more books.